Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. Three sisters who call the Northwest Territories home are on a journey of reunion. The sisters are survivors of the 60s scoop. They're originally from the Dega-Goti First Nation in Fort Providence, and last week they traveled back to their home community. Natalie Pressman also traveled to Fort Providence and brings us the sisters' story tonight.
It's the first time in their lives that Delphine, Ravensong, and Soraya are all together. For the sisters, returning to Fort Providence is about reclaiming the youth they never had, a chance to experience what was stolen.
We hopped in the truck and we went looking for buffalo this morning, and we said, if we'd grown up here, we would have done that together as teenagers. We would have been out buffalo chasing too, right? So we're doing some of the things that, we haven't ever done. Jumping on beds and stuff like that.
But there's also a sense of what could have been.
A sense of loss of culture and family and community. And like I said, we come here trying to get some of that back, trying to regain some of that back. So I think mainly a loss of self identity.
The Sisters Reunion is a pilot project for more 60 Scoop survivors to come home. Ravensong runs a nonprofit called the 60 Scoop Indigenous Society of BC. The organization secured a grant to fund survivors returning to their home communities. And the society's board decided who better to go first than their president.
I couldn't do it if my sisters weren't willing, right? So the biggest part was getting them to confirm, right? And it hasn't been easy for any of us to make commitments to anyone because of who we are, and to make a commitment to do something this big with not knowing each other, that was a big thing, right? It was scary.
While in the community, the sisters paid their respects at the cemetery.
This is my mom! This is my mom! What? My mom!
And found family they didn't know were there.
I think it's amazing that she is home. She's where she needs to be, and hopefully she can find some peace.
But the feelings are layered.
They knew that she had 3 daughters, and they chose to do a burial or a memorial day for my mom and never told any of us. We want to be part of these things.
The sisters met some of their relatives and heard stories about their mother, but they didn't always get the warm welcome they were hoping for.
I think a reconnection is between us 3 here. As far as a reconnection within the community, even though we're from here, we weren't raised here, so we're strangers okay. And if you can wrap your head around that concept, is we're from here, but we're strangers, and we're treated as such.
Lou Jobs traveled with the sisters. He's an advisor with the 60 Scoop Indigenous Society and a survivor originally from Tuktoyaktuk. He's had his own experience going back to his home community.
We didn't grow up here, right? Yes, we're family, but we want to meet you. I think the other thing is the misconception is people think we want something out of them when we come home. We don't. We just want to meet them. I just want to know where I'm from.
One elder says it's because the community is still dealing with its own healing from colonial practices, and it can be hard to trust.
Well, we sometimes, because of our own, as a people and as a community and the history, trauma is a big thing now.
But Bonatruge says that what the sisters are doing is important and sets an example for the stolen children who want to come home.
The missing children are going to be coming home, and they will be bringing something new to us, and something new is human nature to be a little bit scared.
Ravensong says she hopes to come back to Fort Providence next summer. Her sisters aren't sure whether they'll join her, but they agree the community does feel like home.
A part of my soul, and a part of who I am, is tied here, and there's just no escaping it.
Whether they return or not, this has been a reunion they'll never forget. Natalie Pressman, CBC News, Fort Providence.
Grade 7 and 8 students in Fort Smith finally made it to the Sweetgrass Cultural Camp in Wood Buffalo National Park. The camp was back this year after a 5-year break, And as the CBC's Carla Ulrich tells us, students got to experience a unique on-the-land adventure.
The cultural camp is the highlight of the year for many PWK students. While at camp in Wood Buffalo National Park, students learned survival skills, connected with nature, and gained a deeper appreciation for the area's history. This was the first time that grade 7 student Ellie McDonald JQ went to Sweetgrass. Her grandpa Don McDonald started the camp in the late 80s, and her aunt Erin McDonald and mom Jana JQ revived the camp in 2010, which came in handy when it came to pack their bags.
I didn't know how to pack them personally, and I think I had like the lightest bag because of my mom going there a bunch of times. Everybody had like bruises on their shoulders and I had like just nothing.
McDonald JQ says her favorite part was playing cards under the northern lights. Allie McDonald is a teacher and organizer of the camp. She says it's a one-of-a-kind opportunity for students.
The bonds and the relationships that our students get to create while they're out at camp is really special, especially because they're disconnected from technology. They're really just out there with their classmates building this valuable experience together.
McDonald says this experience gives students a sense of accomplishment and fosters a connection to nature. This year's camp is the first since 2019. It had previously been canceled due to COVID-19, floods, and then wildfires. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Fort Smith.
The latest acquisitions to the Yukon's permanent art collection are now on display. Pieces by 14 artists are hanging at the Yukon Arts Centre, and we dropped by the opening to check it all out.
It's a great surprise. I mean, I kind of just applied, like I apply for a lot of things just to see what will happen. It's always unexpected when I do get chosen, especially because when they chose my name and revealed the other artists, I already knew most of these other artists here. Like I've already been fans of them for a while, so I was really honored to be included in that collection this year. Yeah, this is Beaver Man. He's a legendary character in Yukon First Nations history or myth. In some ways, he was almost more important than Crow, who created the world, because he went around and made it livable for humans. So he's a bit of a hero figure, so I really like painting him. And this story is telling how he slayed a giant worm. You can see it in the background here. This is a story told by Jesse Jonathan that I've painted, and I've chosen the setting to be the Kaskawalsh Glacier because it'll be familiar to Yukoners. And they did say that giant worms lived in the glaciers, so that's why I put it there. And the most important thing is that Beaver Man is wearing traditional Athabascan clothing. He's got very geometric designs on his outfit there. He's got a shaman's pendant. He's got an old-style copper dagger on a spear. That's a very traditional weapon. So yeah, I just tried to remain as true as possible to pre-contact sort of clothing and design.
Yeah, so I waited a long time to submit a piece that was, I felt big enough, or I felt like my techniques have like perfected over the years. Before I didn't feel like I had anything good enough to submit. So this is actually my first art piece, like a piece that wasn't made to be worn. I'm excited that my future grandkids will be able to visit it someday and that it'll be preserved and kept safe in the Yukon. It is called, I learned it from my mother, and it is a visual representation of the joy of motherhood, becoming a matriarch, acknowledging where we come from, the joy of passing down our culture and our teachings. On the belt you'll see on one side it's my great-great-grandmother's beadwork, and then it slowly transforms into mine, and that's like a direct visual of that passing of knowledge. And on the other side, it's pictures of the women that I've come from, it's pictures of the women that have raised me, and then it's me, my friends, and my sister and cousins as new matriarchs. So.
Show featuring the newly acquired works will be up at the Yukon Arts Centre until November 15th.
Oh, imagine how good the TV is gonna look now. And spoiler alert.
No! Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Cut to. Well, we're not cutting to.
Which ladies want to watch?
Look out! It's drama.
Oh.
I'm ready for it.
Triple homicide accepted.
Everything all right here?
Yeah.
Is there a problem?
We got a call about a disturbance.
I just think there's something really off about this guy. I've lived through today, this day, before. I need you to believe me and tell me I'm not completely crazy. What would you be prepared to do if you had one more chance?
Anything.
Welcome to Plan B Agency. Select your desired destination.
Breaking news that shapes your world. With local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On the CBC News app. Download for free.
Imagine how good the TV's gonna look now.
Oh, God!
This is incredible.
Did you know this?
As if.
Could the pressure be any higher?
Moments that are so on trend right now. Ticket pricing, artificial intelligence, being a Swiftie. Commotion, available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Kamasi, Cecil Jim Hope Suje, CBC North Radio 1 Destro Dene Aurikela, Tileserato, Northbeat Ganda.
Former Northwest Territories Commissioner Tony Whitford has died. Whitford died this morning at Stanton Territorial Hospital in Yellowknife. He served 12 years in the Legislative Assembly as an MLA, cabinet minister, and speaker. He went on to be appointed commissioner and held that role from 2005 to 2010. Whitford's contributions to the community have been recognized in a number of ways. He was awarded both the Queen Elizabeth Golden Jubilee Medal and Diamond Jubilee Medal, and appointed a member of the Order of the Northwest Territories. The Yukon Territorial Court has a new judge. Elaine Cairns was sworn in at the courthouse in Whitehorse on Friday. The courtroom heard several speeches describing Cairns as someone who has a deep understanding of the justice system. Prior to her legal career, Cairns was a support worker for women who experienced domestic violence. She also has extensive experience working with Indigenous communities outside of Whitehorse, including residential school survivors. Cairns is replacing former Judge Karen Ruddy, who recently retired. The Yukon government announced a new managed alcohol program earlier this year. It promised to take its first clients last spring, but 7 months later, it still hasn't opened. The government closed the St. Elias group home months ago. The people with cognitive disabilities who lived there were moved last spring, so the space could be repurposed for people with severe alcohol use disorder. But the building is still sitting empty. The government says it's hired a supervisor, but it needs more time to fully staff the program.
The people who we're hiring are going to be, based on the interviews we've done, are people who understand the values of the managed alcohol program in terms of coming from a trauma-informed practice, a culturally accessible program. So the reason I'm saying that is the training is going to be on the job. Because they're a novel program. Managed alcohol programs are not so well established that there's a rigid, robust training program.
Grandy says so far the Yukon government has a supervisor and is hiring support workers. Imperial Oil and Sawtooth leaders are locked in a regulatory battle over a pipeline repair project on the Mackenzie River. Sawtooth leaders, including Fort Good Hope Chief Colin Pirot, are worried about the potential environmental impacts of the project. This all stems from Imperial Oil's application to drill below the Mackenzie River. The project involves replacing a pipeline damaged in 2022, which leaks 55,000 liters of industrial water. The CBC's Nadir Hashmi reports.
An Imperial Oil spokesperson said they need a decision within 2 weeks to be able to use the winter roads and finish the project as planned in 2025. They say they have been operating at reduced production since 2 years, and that natural gas production is so low that they may not have enough to power Normanville's this winter. They say they informed local authorities and NTPC to help plan for backup diesel power. And without timely approvals, the operation is likely to shut down by 2026 or earlier. Chief Pero says Imperial Oil is using those statements to avoid the environmental assessment.
They're just using it to scare the community of Norman Wells. But I believe that they know also that there is a power plant there that has 3 brand new engines in there, a holding tank for fuel.
Pero says if something was to happen while drilling the new pipeline, it could have severe impacts on the Mackenzie River and communities relying on its water. He says this has to be taken into consideration. The project is still under review and awaiting approval from the Canada Energy Regulator and Satu Land and Water Board. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Educators across Quebec now have access to new cultural resources catering to First Nations and Inuit students. The Voices from the Land web portal launched last Wednesday. It offers a variety of teaching materials, things like lesson plans for land-based learning activities and guides for non-Indigenous educators about the different First Nations and Inuit across Quebec. The First Nations Education Council hopes teachers can learn about and incorporate different ways of learning for First Nations and Inuit children.
Many of our students are taught at an early age that it's hands-on. It's on the land. It's if you go with your grandfather in the bush and they teach you how to hunt, well, they're not going to learn that through a book.
The council says it's also looking at assembling a university curriculum for future educators. Construction has started on a new shelter in Iqaluit. The project is being spearheaded by the Ukutak Society. It's meant to help address homelessness in the community. The building will be a low barrier shelter. That means it won't turn people away who are intoxicated. The new facility will have a warming center and 44 beds, which is more than double the capacity of the current low barrier shelter. The Ukutak Society says there's an urgent need for a center like this in the city.
You don't have much agency in your life, because you don't have a regular place to sleep. You're just living the survival mode.
The shelter will also have 13 transitional housing rooms. Work on the project first started in 2022, and the shelter is expected to be completed in the spring of 2026. A new study indicates that artificial intelligence could help improve medical care. Toronto researchers found that use of a special AI system led to a dramatic drop in unexpected patient deaths. Lauren Pelly explains.
What if artificial intelligence could predict when someone's about to die?
I'm seeing that there's a chart watch alert for the patient in the room down the hall saying that they're at high risk of having a deterioration.
Dr. Amal Verma helped develop that early warning system. It monitors all the changes in a patient's medical record to spot signs of danger.
So a patient's vital signs, their heart rate, their blood pressure.
Healthcare workers at this Toronto hospital are using the technology to find out fast when patients are suddenly getting sicker.
Is this his monitor here?
This longtime nurse says it flagged one patient's early blood work results, showing an animal bite had quietly caused a potentially life-threatening infection.
White count was way above what it normally is, and so we were able to then address that right away.
A new study in the Canadian Medical Association journal shows the tool led to a striking 26% drop in the number of unexpected patient deaths.
We're glad to see that we're saving lives.
The researchers say the system helps staff provide treatment sooner and also palliative care when patients are beyond saving. It's not a replacement for clinical care or staff, but acts like another pair of eyes as hospitals face high levels of burnout and staff shortages.
And that's saving a lot of time, it's easing a lot of stress, and we're hoping more and more of these solutions will be able to be deployed.
Healthcare AI tools are getting a lot of buzz. Some research teams say machine learning can detect cancer earlier or speed up drug discovery, but the bold promises don't always pan out.
It's important to know that in healthcare, we need to develop AI tools carefully.
Experts say what's exciting about the Toronto research is that it's helping real patients right now.
I thought this paper was a really interesting real-world study of trying modern predictive artificial intelligence techniques.
The team now wants to replicate their results elsewhere in hopes of bringing this new AI technology outside the walls of this hospital to help more patients across the country. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
MPs have returned to Parliament Hill for the fall sitting, and the stakes are high. Now that the Liberals' deal with the NDP has ended, the government could fall at any time. And as Ashley Burke reports, parties are preparing for a heated political fight.
MPs are back, and it's every party for itself.
Why not let Canadians choose a common sense conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime now?
He doesn't care about Canadians. He just cares about himself and his own political interests.
Now that the NDP's deal with the Liberals is dead, the gloves are off.
And as soon as hard things got hard, they turned tail and ran, Mr. Speaker. Wanted to avoid the criticisms of the mean old Conservatives and tried to save themselves.
I've ripped up
the Liberals releasing a new video to try and take down their former partner, Jagmeet Singh.
There is zero chance that the NDP is ever going to listen to Pierre Poilievre. He's a goon.
Singh facing questions about why he's now distancing himself from Trudeau's carbon tax that he voted for.
It's clear that he's too beholden to corporate interests to do what's necessary. So we're going to fight back.
Fight, the key theme today, as the temperature in the House turned up after Pierre Poilievre once again called for an election.
What I heard yesterday from Mr. Poilievre was so over the top, so irresponsible, so immature, and something that only a fraudster would do.
The Liberals now trying to shape the agenda by introducing new mortgage rules, raising the cap on insured mortgages from $1 million to $1.5 million.
Putting the dream of homeownership in reach for younger Canadians.
The Conservatives fire back and took aim at the finance minister.
She's lost her job responsibilities. She's lost her credibility. How long will the phantom finance minister endure this humiliation?
Mr. Speaker, I am not going anywhere. But I can understand why the Conservatives prefer to focus on personal mudslinging and attacks rather than to actually talk about the economy.
In this unstable environment, the government could fall at any time if there's a non-confidence vote.
We are playing chicken with 4 cars. Eventually, one will hit another one, and there will be a wreckage.
It felt like the opening day of an election campaign. All of the parties are off to the races, and tonight's dual by-elections could shake up the dynamics in the House of Commons even more. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Voters are going to the polls today in key federal by-elections in Manitoba and Quebec. One is in Winnipeg, in the NDP stronghold of Elmwood-Transcona. New Democrats could face a close race with Conservatives there. The other by-election is in Montreal, in the riding of LaSalle-Imard-Verdun. It's been held by the Liberals since 2015. They are now facing a challenge from the Bloc Québécois. The Liberals lost a key stronghold to the Conservatives in a Toronto by-election in June. Inuit circus performers from Art Cirque hosted a public show in Nunavut. It was called Natu Pisinga. The production is about the selkie, a creature from Scottish folklore that can shapeshift into from a seal into a human. The show had 19 performers, all from the hamlet of Igloolik.
I'm fine with it. Sometimes my heart starts racing and I'm scared, but at the end of every show, I find myself enjoying it.
The show was free of charge, but the performers did accept donations that will go towards next year's Ali Night Festival in Iqaluit. The Igloolik-based group continues to perform worldwide. Now, let's take a look at the weather. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. We leave you with more from Art Cirque's performance in Iqaluit last weekend. Have a good night.
Hi. Yeah, you can come on over. I'll be right there.
I feel better already.
It's got to come from the heart.
I will cry. They're so together. Spicy. Now we're all just getting the sillies.
How much more connected do you want to be?
Yeah. Is this a team meeting? Because I'm part of the team. See you there.
Her particular skill set can be helpful to us.
She's a con artist.
I feel you, honey.